And we're live! Hello and welcome to the 44th episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm your host, Maddie Allen, with ChrispyMan of HexFire.io, and our two guests for tonight, Furu Finance and Ben Dubard. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, guys. Hey, I don't know, Maddie, if you can hear me okay, but your voice went garbled as soon as you went live.
Figures.
I mean, we all know your voice. Yeah. We all know your voice, so it can't be a voice changer. Right?
I'm going to switch my mic to the built-in one and see if... Can you hear me better now?
Oh yeah. 10,000%, buddy. 10,000x. 10,000x.
So the TLDR is we're live.
We're live.
Nice.
So I'm really glad you guys could join us tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream for 2.5 hours because, well, I have a little story to tell. And then we can do more of, I don't know, just more of a rapid episode of maybe an hour and a half compared to our normal 2.5 to 3 hour stream. So my story is what I've been doing for the past 4 days is moving out of a place that I lived for 14.5 years. Ouch. And it's funny to me, because, I'm time locking my money for 15 years in some stakes, in some cases. And so I'm just in the middle of it all, right? Because I'm dealing with memories from the past 14 years and getting rid of things I don't need. So it's been a growth process for me. And so I've been kind of tuned out of everything that's been going on in HEX. But I must say, the thumbnail says that the bottom might be in, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Sounds great.
I have no idea. Maybe, I guess if V3 comes out soon, then that would mean the bottom's probably in. I know that DO1 wallet, he sent his DO1 sent his HEX a new wallet. I know he still has over 100 million HEX there. But besides that, I don't really know if there'd be some serious selling pressure from anyone. But you never know, But I think it could be.
Yeah. So my take was that Richard Hart says that the Bitcoin 85% dip to 11K is because that's what it's done before. And I think the last cycle, me and Ben did the math sort of. And Bitcoin pumped a lot more last cycle. So it pumped maybe 100x bottom to top 2017, 2018. And now it pumped 17x. So why can't it, just like it pumped less, why can't it dump less? Why can't it dump 80% instead of 85? I think it's very possible. But obviously Richard has probably a way better track record than me. So the only thing that's really preventing me from saying with certainty that the bottom is in is Richard Hart saying it's not. And obviously you have digital currency group, but as far as the 4-year cycle as well, this would, if we have a lower low, that would be the longest top to bottom in Bitcoin history. There's a lot of positive news coming as far as inflation coming down, which is something that I'm proud of because I said it would come down sooner than people thought, which most people weren't saying. So it's looking optimistic. It's looking like we're getting 25 basis point and maybe one more, and then maybe a few months, and then that's very bullish, right? The Fed even starting to lower interest rates, I think, is gonna be very good for the markets. And I think the Bitcoin halving is happening May 2024. So I think the bottom is in, but I don't know. And I think the HEX bottom and the Bitcoin bottom are probably going to be. I think they move in tandem these days. So,
ChrispyMan, what do you think?
Wow. What does that mean? The bottom is in, right? So, I think for new people, when you hear the bottom is in, you're thinking, oh, everything's up from here. That's not what the bottom is in means. At least not in my opinion. In my opinion, bottom is in means we've moved far enough along the timeline that it's more likely we'll be going up over time than going down until we hit the next cycle. And so even if you thought 15K or 14K, whatever the number was that Bitcoin went to, is the bottom doesn't mean we won't revisit that bottom. And you can see that in previous cycles. It's pretty likely that we're well along our way towards the next year or two of action, right? And that's just based on sticking to this kind of 4-year cycle thinking that things have moved in that 4-year cycle. And we likely won't be able to confirm that the bottom was in and we're on our way back up for another month or two, right? Depending on who's doing the TA and what they're doing. What I like to watch is the 111-day moving average. And we are now above the 111-day moving average for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and HEX. And I would feel very strongly that we're probably in a upsloping type of a momentum once the 111 crosses the 350-day moving average, and that's because those are Fibonacci type measures in my very non-TA speak, right? So, but I look at that 350-day moving average, 111-day moving average, and it looks pretty good at the moment. So let's see what happens. What do you think, Maddie?
Well, I just go off of what Steph says, and he made a tweet a couple days ago saying that HEX has bottomed 2 weeks ago. See ya. Now, I like what Steph has to say because he's a smart guy. He's the founder of StakeRap, and I was actually there when he called the Bitcoin top, and the proof is right here. Like, look, he had a tweet. He doesn't make many of these, but he made one that said Bitcoin top 2 days ago, and that was on November 12th, 2021. So it's very explicit. And, to be fair, I think he did call the HEX bottom incorrectly a little bit earlier. But I mean, when we talk about how far HEX is down from the all-time high, I mean, if it's down 95%, 97%, these are all good areas for me to be DCAing. So that's dollar cost averaging and trying to spread my buys out so that I have something interesting to pay attention to and feel like I'm doing something in the bear market. Yeah. So I'm happy to buy HEX at these prices. I'm happy to, I can't really call it, just like you guys can't call it, because I'm not a whale and I don't have say in what the price does. But I think that it's totally possible that crypto could do what it's done in the past.
Sure. I think I was thinking about this today, Maddie. Maybe these guys will have some input on this. I was thinking about doing our monthly report that kind of just shows what's happening on a monthly basis. And when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about the difference between looking at the weekly versus the monthly versus the daily, And generally speaking, right, if you're looking at the year charts or the month charts, you feel pretty bullish about all crypto, most crypto anyways, right? You can look at that, you can see this pattern, it's playing out over 12 years, new things come in and they follow this pattern and they go up, right? And so it puts you in a different kind of frame of mind than when we're trying to look at weekly and daily charts, or some people even less, right? Which just kind of, I don't know, it just creates that thinking of what's the difference between, trying to do trading, versus long time hold, stake, and DCA. Anyways, I was just thinking about this as you're talking about it, and that's what I was thinking today is I'm probably better off for myself if I was just switched to look at, either weekly and monthly only instead of looking at daily. Probably feel a lot better, maybe yearly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, those are great points. Somebody's asking in the comments about the NFTs I was giving away last week. I have not been able to access my cold storage where those are, so I will send them when I can. Yay.
I wanted to speak about ChrispyMan's point earlier that the bottom doesn't mean we're going straight up.
Yes.
And I remember last bear market, there was, I wasn't really paying attention closely, but I looked back at the charts and you had Went from 3,200 all the way to 14,000 and then back down to 3,800. So I could very easily see that happening. And I guess, so what do you guys think the 14,000 would be for this cycle? Like, how high could Bitcoin go and how low could it go back down?
I'll make it even more complicated that everybody can answer. Not only should you say like what you think about that, about the Bitcoin's bottom price and how, what that might be this time, but I would add, what do you think all this cheap Bitcoin is doing? Like, does that affect anything? So first of all, does Grayscale Bitcoin being on a 50% discount, does that mean that we really have 7,000 Bitcoin right now? What's Bitcoin at right now?
Well, I think it closed a little bit. Did it close a little? Are we down to maybe 40?
So yeah, I mean, either way, if you look at, right now, Bitcoin's 21,000. I'm sorry. I was thinking still it was 15, which is halfway in between what like the GBTC price is. And really, if you believe in fake paper Bitcoin and holding it through a middleman, like FTX taught us not to and everything else, I mean, but some people like Grayscale, some people like buying Bitcoin at $11,000. And so that's a question. And then, so let me hear what you guys have to say about that one.
Well, I guess as far as like the Bitcoin thing, I think like as the price pumps, like the discount's probably going to close. So I don't think it's going to be like the discount's closed and then, oh, okay, now we go up like sideways and then discount closed. And then I feel like maybe the discount could close already halfway to all-time highs, or even maybe more than that. So I don't know. Richard Hart talks about it like it's that has to happen to go up. I don't know if that has to happen to go up. I think it will happen on the way up, probably, or maybe it just gets left behind and Grayscale goes under. I know there's rumors about that, but I guess just to start off with the call, I say Bitcoin could even go to 48K and then back down to 22, but who knows?
Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I was wondering kind of what Furu just ended with. Like, could it just disappear? Like, could the discount just disappear? Like, could Grayscale go under? But I know, Richard Hart talks about the Mt. Gox coins. I think they got pushed to I think they're supposed to maybe come out in July, and they got pushed to further along this year. I think August or September or something. Then he talks about Ross Ulbricht's coins, and then we have Grayscale, of course. So maybe we get this fake out now, and then we do hit 10K. Because for me, I'm like, I don't know. It seems like could the bottom be in? But then I also know how smart Richard is, and I'm like, maybe this is because there's a lot of people I think who recently, Wendy O is a great example. She, right before this kind of pump, she she made a whole video about how she sold her moon bags. She's like, I'm selling my moon bags, guys, and I'm taking a loss. And as a full-time crypto trader, I need to know when to cut my losses and take a loss because I know what's smart. We saw the guy who interviewed Richard Hart, that Alexander Lorenzo guy. He basically was saying, he literally said words from his mouth where crypto is so predictable. You can either, sell at a loss or you can short right now, make tons of money. Like they both said that, and the market went up. So maybe it'll go up just enough that people like them are like, oh, look, the bottom's in. The bottom was in. Crap, let me buy back in, and then we'll crash, maybe go to 10K. So who knows? But I don't know. It's just really interesting how that happened.
ChrispyMan?
Oh man, I pass on this. I have no idea what's going on with GBTC. Though maybe one of you guys can answer this. Was my understanding this pump was driven by leverage shorts being closed. Is that true?
I think I heard that.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's accurate.
I don't know if I'm so into those things. I think it's just after the fact, everyone's looking for a narrative. I mean, there's just there are a lot of people, and different people are doing different things. And I mean, yeah, I mean, saying like if there's a pump, there are probably shorts that are going to be closing preceding it, and if there's a dump, there's probably going to be longs that are closing preceding it. I mean, that's just really what happens. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's a good point. Another thing I'm looking at on all this price action and judging the bottom is how many more dollars are printed and how much real inflation has that translated to in other assets. So, for example, it's if dollars are twice as common now and they're not as scarce, then it takes more dollars to buy the same amount of Bitcoin relative to the value and purchasing power of the dollar 4 years ago, even. So it's really interesting to me that, is this time different? Is it normal that these crypto cycles will adjust for inflation once it's actually hit consumers or not? I'm not sure. That's an interesting one to think on.
Well, isn't that why the price goes up? I mean, the price goes up because there's more dollars. That's why everything that's really why everything goes up, because this is another thing I've been talking about. So like you look at the stock market always goes up, you look at real estate, it always goes up, and cryptocurrency always goes up because like they print so much money, and how much of that money is going to go into real goods and services when as human beings our needs for goods and services are really limited. So all the money in excess of our needs for goods and services just really goes into these things. And that's why, like, I mean, I'm not trying to, I know there's a lot of criticism of the money printing, but like there's like 11% increase in money supply and 2% inflation, really. I mean, it's sometimes the Fed even has trouble maintaining like a 2% inflation because like how, like there's more money. Are you going to buy, it's money supply, but also increasing the velocity of money, right? So the money has to hit the market. Like when the Bitcoin hits the market, the price goes down. So the money has to take goods off the shelf. But like, are you going to buy more goods? Are you going to buy more food? Your food's going to spoil if you buy extra food. You're still going to buy the same amount of food, really. And that's really why crypto goes up so much, because the money just goes there and like it doesn't need so much money to move it up. But that's some food for thought. But I don't know. What do you think,
Ben?
I think that was really well said. Furu definitely knows more about that stuff than I do. He's always like educating me on like macro stuff, like inflation. So it's always fun talking to him. But yeah.
ChrispyMan, any further macro comments before we move on to more HEX related stuff?
I think probably more HEX related stuff. I mean, we do know, a lot of chatter about everything being correlated, but of course we're all correlated at some point, right? With everything to some degree. Now, is it the, that financial correlation that people talk about? Maybe, maybe not, right? But I guess we'll see. That comes about, right? But yes, I think I'm hearing a lot of very bullish things in the macro market. Not things that I've heard that I'm deciding are bullish. I'm hearing a lot of more bullish talk, right? Across the spectrum. A lot of people going, maybe things aren't as bad as we thought they were going to be, which usually means the opposite, right? So let's see what happens. So,
but I will say it is counter trend, or at least until a couple of days ago, it is counter trend to say that inflation is going to come down and things are going to be okay, because everyone's really freaking out. Everyone was freaking out until very, very recently. And it's something interesting that I was talking about this with Ben yesterday. Like, why is Jim Cramer always wrong? Like, why is Wendy O always wrong? Why is the Moon Carl always wrong? So a lot of people like to say, oh yeah, it's because they're really just lying because they're trying to counter trade and dump the price and tell you one thing and do the other. I don't think that's true. And I think the reason why they're always wrong is because, they say buy the rumor and sell the news. But if you're Jim Cramer, you are the news. So whatever you say is brought to the masses already. It's time for a dump. If you're the Moon Carl, you have close to 1 million subs. You're like the #1 trading account now that everyone looks to for trades. You're the news. You can't possibly be right anymore. So I think maybe one day Matty Allen's going to be the news.
I think Furu Finance. Watch out, Furu Finance. Hey, listen, I remember when Carl just showed up one day, right? He just showed up. All of a sudden, I saw him pop up on Da Vinci's streams. You know, that's another streamer that's out there, and he was with some other guys. And then he just blew up. And I'll tell you what, if you want to go figure out how people blow up in crypto, positive or negatives, go study whatever the hell he did. You know?
So I used to watch him, and believe it or not, his trades were kind of good in the beginning. But then he got so big, his trades just couldn't be good. I think that's really what it is.
No, it says your hypothesis is based on what you just said a few minutes ago. And I think that's accurate, right? I mean, that can be very accurate. You know, look what happens when, you know, I think Richard Hart has actually addressed this a couple times. One of the reasons he doesn't make calls specifically about his own tokens is for that reason, or his own token. Is for that reason. I don't blame him, because I do think people do that. I mean, look at the little pump we got for just the conference, right? Maddie, now it's been a little bit longer staying than that, but you know, there was a little bit of buy the news, sell the rumor, or buy the rumor, sell the news. You know, coming right into that, right up to the point where he started speaking. You know.
Yeah. It matters. What he says matters, and yeah, it's a great point.
Matters to the traders who are playing a short-term game, but for other people, I've heard a lot of people say it doesn't matter. So with that in mind, let's ask each of us. So if HEX goes sideways for a year, are you holding more liquid or staking more, or what's your strategy there?
I'm very staked. So there was one point I think I irresponsibly staked because I was watching so much Quant Gang. I was getting T-share FOMO.
Finally, the blowback has occurred.
Oh, no.
But I've literally thought, like, in times like these, if I wasn't staked, maybe I would be selling some now, actually. So I'm actually thankful I am staked, because it's forced me to kind of grind and, like, I don't know, work harder.
Yes.
So
that's an interesting point.
Yeah. So the short term's just kind of entertaining to pay attention to, really, for me. It's like entertainment. The short term price X really doesn't matter that much to me, because I really don't have that much liquid. But yeah.
Well, that puts you in a good position then.
I hope so, man. Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's why I staked. This understanding, when you understand how the T-share gets rarer and rarer over time, but the payout increases per T-share, then you really get FOMO of like, oh, well, why stake it for 10 years? You know, yeah, the max, like, you don't get more T-shares for longer, but you have it for longer. So I'm like, oh, 10 years pointless. Might as well do 15. And to me, it's really 15 years. I don't think that's that long of a time, you know? And you see that with the older people who are in HEX, I think, who they will tell you that, like 40-year-old, 50-year-olds, they're like, 15 years isn't that long, you know? And they probably wish, oh, I wish when I was 35, I'd done 15 years, or if I was 30, I would have done it. So, you know, I'm 25, and I'm kind of like, well, I mean, when I first started investing with like a Roth IRA, it was like the retire by 2040 investment plan. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that seems crazy. Like, would that really happen? You know, like, so there's no, like, will I really be able to retire with the returns I'm going to get from this in 2040? And also, like, I thought I'd be retired by 23, like that kind of thing. Like, everyone's like, I don't know, I feel like you're in high school or whatever, you're like, yeah, I'm going to retire when I'm 25 as a billionaire, blah, blah, blah. That kind of, I'm going to be on TV by that time. But yeah, so to me, I don't really think it's that long of a time. I think life just gets quicker the older you get, it seems. So, yeah. But then I have a ladder, so it's kind of like, it's not all 15 years.
Well, I guess yeah, that is true. It does go by fast. But as far as my HEX, so everything I was buying until very recently was just getting thrown down. I was getting locked up. But I was saying, for preparing for Pulse Chain launch, you might not want to buy liquid HEX because of the risk of the volatility of the market. So basically, your HEX, if you would have bought HEX in May when everyone thought Pulse Chain was going to launch, and you're still waiting for it liquid, you're still waiting for Pulse Chain liquid, you would have 20% of the buying power. You would have lost 80% of the buying power in US dollar terms. But now that the price has gone down so much, I kind of pivoted, and I feel like the risk is more to the upside, and I've been buying a lot of liquid HEX for Pulse Chain launch and not stable coins. But I'm still mostly staked, and I probably wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't staked. I probably would have sold a long time ago. So I'm very proud that I'm buying the dip every day.
Well done.
Every day. Nice.
No, every day, because I mint inflation every day, 8 p.m.
Oh, got it. I was gonna say buying every day is a commitment. Yeah.
ChrispyMan, thoughts on liquid HEX these days?
Well, I haven't followed any of my plans that I made to start with, so hard to tell what I'll do. But that being said, I do carry a little bit more liquid now than I did in the past, but not very much. I mean, if I was going to think about percentage-wise, I don't know, less than 1%. Now, I hear some people talk about keeping 10, 20% liquid, and I don't know. My thinking's always been to be heavily staked, and so that's kind of how I set things up. And then the other part of your question about selling, if I had been following my plan, I would have been selling for the last 14 months, but I haven't been selling for the last 14 months. And so now I find myself in that enviable position of being at maybe the bottom, and with bags, right? And then saying to myself, well, maybe I should start selling now, right? It goes right back to what Fruber was saying, right? Yeah, it kind of looks like there's more upside volatility than low, some are down. So maybe now's not the time to capitulate. But yeah. And happily, nothing I do will affect the system. So unless I announce it here, and then even then, it won't affect the system.
What about you, Maddie?
I mean, I look at any liquid HEX that I have, like ChrispyMan, 1 or 2%, and it's well, let me see. Probably I'm in between 2 and 3%. My bag is liquid, and I just if the price is going to go sideways, then I kind of want to be doing short-term stakes to just get a little, just get a tiny little bit of HEX out of these stakes. I finally rebought my TShares that had come out in June, so that's exciting to me. It's easier said than done, but yeah. I like staking. I don't like being diluted.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm uncomfortable when I know how much money it's kind of impermanent loss. Like if I would have been staked, let's say with my bag, had I been staked over the past couple of months, past 2-3 months, I would have had that much more. And the same applies to the future. So time is money in HEX. Time is money, folks.
Yeah, I like your point about the impermanent loss. So that's a pretty cool kind of concept, because we have quite a few stakes, and the reason I'll say it this way is we have quite a few people who have restaked, right? So they keep restaking, and like for instance, let me go look real quick and see what we have for. You can share it if you guys want on the screen, but I have a little cheat sheet that'll tell me how much profit people are in versus when they bought. If I had thought about it, I would have queued this up, so we have it. But I'm gonna look at the numbers real quick. So today was the 17th, right?
Yes.
Of January, and so we had quite a few stakes that were supposed to end today. And it looks like the total cost was, it's still pretty good. It was pretty good number. I guess my numbers might not be working. What I was trying to go after is the what the staking cost is on the stakes that are ending today versus what the value was. And so what I've been observing when I look at individual stakes that have been ending is that they, a lot of them, if you were to look at when they were staked, particularly the shorter ones, they're negative ROI at this point, right? Which is kind of like that impermanent loss situation. Because that's why I was thinking about that Furu. Because I'm looking at I'm looking at the largest stake that was supposed to end today on the 17th was for 60 million that was staked. At the time the person staked it, it was $1.66 million worth of HEX. And today it was worth 1.6. So it's a $60,000 loss, which it's not a, I guess depends how you want to call it, realized or whatever. It's not a loss until somebody does something with it, but it's an impermanent loss, right? I guess that would be one way to describe it. I mean, at least in this process, though I bet people don't use that terminology normally, but it's, quite a bit difference in value for the average person anyways.
Impermanent loss, I think, like exclusively refers to liquidity providing situations, which this is not, importantly so. But I think the concept itself is applicable to the situation. So I think it's an important metaphor.
Yeah, thanks. And I had a question for, I guess, ChrispyMan and Maddie, because someone brought to my attention there's like a massive end stake in maybe the 28th, or maybe February or something.
There's a bunch of things happening.
There's like a you look at like that graph with like the ending stakes, and they're like there's this huge spike, and I think Hexologists addressed it as maybe rollovers, and that keeps on happening, during closer days, during closer stakes compared to stakes that are further down the line, because people just keep on rolling it. But
well, there's always what we call the bow wave now, because there's always a bunch that is ready to come out. But if we look to the end of next month, I'll just take a quick peek. I know there's always somebody looking at it. We do have a pretty large stake coming out, right? And that is, if I get my numbers right here, that's the one that ends on the 13th of February. It looks like, and it's 2.1 billion. Does that sound familiar?
I could tell you some guy DM'd me. He said,
Matt, do you want me to share my screen so I can show you what I'm looking at? Would that be
123, January 23rd.
Okay. Yeah, there's always so many.
6.35 billion coming out.
He might be looking at the entire day.
Yeah. It's not one. It's he's looking at Hex.vision.
Yeah, a lot of people ask about that. Bring that question up, because they want to know, about all the HEX coming out. But if you're not watching it every month, you don't realize that happens every single month.
Why?
Well, because people have short stakes, and we can do some quick sorts on screen as soon as I show this up for you, so you can see what I'm what I'm talking about. There's about 4 billion or so, maybe a little bit less, but 3-4 billion that are just 45 days or less. So every month you're going to have that, right?
Mhm.
Now, what does it mean? I don't know. I don't know exactly what it means yet. We have to wait and see. But
It means that those people have the option to sell HEX, whereas they have not had the option previously. Although the shorter their stake was, the more recently they've had the chance to sell.
yeah, some
Right.
people are more concerned about the longer ones. So can you see my screen now?
There it is. Got it.
So, all right, so let's try this chart because I just put this up today based on a request. I went over to the charts area. This is by no means complete yet, but kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at for HEX coming out. This happens to be by year. I'll drill down in a second here, and you can go and look by year and see how much of it's coming from before big payday versus after big payday.
Cool.
And so you can see, yeah, this is a request from, yeah, I don't remember his handle, but it's like hex.com is his name up on Twitter. Anyways, I'd have to go look it up. But, you see the different colors, right? So for this year, we're expecting to see somewhere around, it doesn't give me the total, but it's going to be somewhere around 23, looks like about 23 billion that'll come out estimated. So 8.6 plus that 25 billion maybe throughout the year. If I'm getting those numbers correctly, I don't know if you guys can see that, right? Yeah, because that's millions, yeah, billions, right? So that's how much. So this is a total column, and then if we go down a little bit further into it, we can see by month, by drilling down, what we're expecting to see, right? So this is just showing all HEX, right? And we'll do some other things with this a little bit later. And you can also see a very similar chart here at the bottom. I haven't put a filter on this yet, but I can bring this down. We can just look at, 23.
So that's only like $46 million worth of HEX coming out.
I'd want to verify that, but that could be about right.
I mean, if it's 17 billion HEX, you're talking about so that's the entire year?
Yeah, well, this is estimated at 26 billion plus. Actually, I don't know, Maddie. Let me verify that. Like I said, I'm gonna go look at this, because I just put this up today and we're looking at it, so I might be getting my numbers wrong. But yeah, it's showing in billions for the year 23. So let's go verify
that sounds
it
about
a different
right.
way.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting to think about the dollar figure.
Yeah, I'm just reluctant to agree to a number without going and double checking the math. I don't want to screw anybody up out there, But let's go
Sure.
look at a different place, right? So this is just showing that. Now this kind of goes to Furu's kind of questions. If I go over to advanced analytics, I've got, let's see, here, probably not the best place. Let me go over to, I move some things around here to clean things up. I had our chart. That's what I wanted to see. All right. So we want to go over here to this one and go look at this. So this is a little bit different chart. It's showing something similar, but it's a different sort on the numbers. Because what I did here is HEX stake versus yield. So Furu, this shows a little bit more about what's going on. So we have this. You have this total column here, which it does come up to be pretty close, Maddie, to the number we were just talking about. So I think I can verify that I've got it in two different places, right? So if I go down, drill into this into the months, you can see which months have more yield versus HEX staked. And that's one way that you can kind of look at this to see what's happening, and how much yield is coming out. And so, yeah, in January, February, March, we've got some big months that looks like there's a lot of yield that's coming out relatively, as compared to the July, August, September, maybe. kind of time frame, and I guess you do the percentages on that. Expected end dates are right. Okay. All right. So this shows kind of like one way of this and how this is put together. And then on those pie charts, and that might be a different thing that I could pull up that I did for the year-end report and that we talked about during the conference, you find that quite a bit of HEX is staked out very, very long. I probably should move a little bit slower here, but this is just the staking panel that I have that's up, and I can look at stakes that are not ended and not good accounted, and we can just look for let's do the end of this month. Oh, never mind. Let's do the end of this month. So these should be stakes that'll be ending between now. And I screwed this one up, so I got to go back. Always with the demo, right? Go back to that. I'll mess up my date fields up here. All right, so I'm going to retry this again. I'm going to say our expected end dates are here for the end of this, for January 23. And
man, this is crazy. I did not know this existed. This interface you got here.
Yeah. Cool. Of course, when I try to show you something not working too well, because I think there's something, maybe it's updating with the data or something, and I'm not just getting all the things that I want in here. That looks a little bit better. I take that filter off. All right, so expected end date between 117 and 131. I've got start dates between 117 going all the way back to the beginning. Okay, so we still have 3,940 stakes between now and the end of the month. And so you see that we've got 2.8 billion that were staked and are still staked as of UTC today. So that's not unlikely to keep seeing that roll forward, right? And so let me move this out. I'm going to take the expected end date out to the end of the month of February, just to kind of get bigger numbers. So we have 8 billion staked HEX that are coming out between now and the end of February. 8.3, that's the staked HEX. It's 9.3 of that is with the yield. So the yield is only 1 billion. Just to give you an idea, this isn't like empirical evidence or anything, but by these numbers, of the 9 billion that I expect to come out between now and the end of next month, only 1 billion of that is yield. Now, would I like 1 billion in yield? Sure. Do I ever have that? No, I don't. So it's a lot of HEX, but we're talking about across 10,000 stakes, right? So it's not my ladder. This is all the people that are in the system. And so when I go look at that, I say, okay, well, what's going on? And I go look at the days. Now this particular panel is not going to show me averages, but just sorting them by days, you can see, how many of these are where they're at, right? 15, 17 days. And so just kind of showing what's happening. And if we put the max on stake days of 45, you can see that out of that 8 billion or so, 5.8 billion of that is less than 45 days.
Now that is cool.
So you start to, I have some other graphics. I just don't have them up on these screens here that I can share at the moment. But bottom line is the bow wave is real. And that bow wave is what you see on hex.vision. We see all of this HEX coming out. And today it looks like, oh my God, in the next 30 to 45 days, there's a lot of HEX coming out. But if you wait 2 weeks and look, you say, oh my God, a lot of HEX is coming out. And you just repeat that over and over again.
It's just rolling over.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean that people aren't right about saying, hey, we've got a guy coming out with his first stake that's 1,000 days or longer, and what's he or she going to do? I mean, that's a valid concern, right? But it's a little bit different situation than saying, it's not as if we haven't had many months where billions of HEX have come out. It's every month. This story.
Interesting. All right, I'm not worried.
Yeah, well, what? No, I wasn't thinking you were. We can talk about it more too if you another time and dig in deep. I'd be happy to collaborate, try to figure out some better ways to present this information, because probably me describing it isn't really great. And I know that necessarily the charts don't necessarily tell the whole tale either. Sometimes look kind of like a little bit of a catered infographic might be a little bit more useful, like you've seen start coming out now where some of the folks are describing wallets that are dumping, and they do kind of like sort of like an infographic that kind of shows what happened with that over a period of time.
And typically people care more about that if they're holding liquid and they themselves are traders and wanting to trade. I mean, we saw traders get wrecked trying to trade the HEX conference, and I'm glad that they got wrecked trying to trade the HEX conference, because I wasn't putting the conference on for people to trade a short-term game. I just wanted the community to be able to come together and do what we do, provide commentary and try to understand all the different angles of time locking. And so I think it's really interesting, though, also to go back to this idea that if you are a trader and you have a little bit longer time horizon than the other traders, you might be thinking to yourself, well, there's this sweet 10% APY that I might be able to get in HEX terms if I'm doing short stakes. And so you're seeing, of the 4 billion or whatever it is rolling stakes in the short term, those are people employing a similar strategy of trying to not get diluted, but still play a short-term game. What they are getting diluted on is the number of TShares that they can buy.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, because if the price if the APY in HEX terms has gone up by 10% in a year, the T-share rate has gone up more. And so that starts to kind of, in some ways it starts to compound on itself. In some ways it doesn't compound. But I think the work that ChrispyMan has done to model the T-shares out into the future based on what we know of people, either time locking their HEX now short or long, really is good work in it. And it's something we've always wanted to know. One thing I'm curious is, so this is a question I have, is there yet a chart of what the future total possible max T-share supply could be?
Yes, there is.
Oh,
we have that chart. Yeah.
So got it all.
Well, I think
that's pretty profound. What that shows, that the price of a T-share could be tens of thousands of HEX higher in the future in the same 15-year cycle.
Right. Well, now the caveat, right, about saying we have that is it is one of several forecasts, right? Because nobody knows the future. We don't know what the prices are going to be. We don't know exactly what people are going to do. And so we have to be really careful about that part of it, right? To make sure that people understand that it's, somebody, whether it was myself or A-Bit or, Patrick or someone else in the community, came up with an estimate, that's what it is. It's a forecast based on what we know. That being said, we put together that presentation, right, for the conference, where we've forecasted out what we thought was a super conservative restaking amount. And so we went with a percentage of restaking that said, hey, if we're going to have 100 T-shares, 90 of them will get restaked, for instance, right? And so what does that look like over time, for T-shares? And based on the projection that we had for current payouts, again, very conservative, how much is going to get paid out over time? And as it gets paid out, it now becomes that newly minted HEX now becomes subject to inflation, right? Because when it is deferred yield, there's no inflation on it, so it has to be minted for there to be inflation. At least once it's got to be minted, right? And so that has to come out. And so what does that look? Anyways, we put that all together and we did come up with kind of an estimate and a chart that you're asking about, Maddie.
The reason that I like my new favorite thing is not the predicted future T-share supply chart, but the max T-share supply chart is because the max chart goes down faster. It's more deflationary because you're including today all the people who theoretically could time lock their HEX, which of course not everybody will all at once. You know, the OA isn't going to be 100% staked and everybody else isn't going to be 100% staked all at once. And so we see that number falling, in my opinion, very quickly compared to any other number that we can look at. And that's the true deflationary nature of T-shares. And so, for example, let's say that Furu staked for his HEX that he has liquid today for 5 years, and Ben did it for 10 years. Well, now if Furu doesn't want to sell his HEX in 5 years because it becomes massively valuable, or maybe it becomes less valuable, but let's at least consider the upside. So if you wanted to continue storing your value in T-shares, then you'd be rebuying T-shares at a way higher rate than Ben's are still producing. And so there's a huge opportunity cost, I think, that's lost when people don't accurately estimate how much of their HEX they're going to want to sell at any point in the future. Like, ChrispyMan and I are talking about, we're 97% staked or 98% staked, and like it turns out that is a big difference if the price has gone up 100x.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful system. Like how it just all works out.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty interesting design.
Wow, look at that.
So, Maddie, you might not have had time to watch us during the conference, or you might have seen it and it just kind of went by pretty fast because we spent like a minute on a chart. What we did is for this conference, we came up with those estimates, and we actually created not only a top but a bottom, a ceiling and a floor.
Cool.
And so when you look at this chart, when you see that dark blue line that goes all the way to zero, that's just modeling, and it's saying, hey, listen, what happens if nobody ever restakes? How fast do T-shares go down? So if people do no restaking, what we're going to see is the drop down, right? And then the high side is the maximum T-share count, and that's based on the idea, the theoretical maximum being, what if today you staked all of the liquid HEX Quattro Cinco in one stake? What does that look like? And so this is the maximum number of T-shares you could get on that day. All right, and that's that number plus what was existing, and you see that it's coming down, and then you see our actual T-shares almost looking flat on this chart, but that's not really what's happening, right? And so when we look at the maximum by itself, this is really what the theoretical maximum looks like.
Yeah.
So, with the expectation that if our projections, even at a conservative rate, are true, we'll get to the point where maybe we're at 25 million is the maximum out at Quattro Cinco, something like that. While today, we're sitting right about here, right? 23. There's something right around there. We're sitting right now, something around 80 million. And so when we start comparing the two of those, we can see that the two of them are really, they're really the distance between the maximum and our forecast, it gets smaller and smaller over time. And so I guess the thinking there is that means that they'll be more and more expensive and also more and more rare. So I just wanted to flash that up since you had mentioned that.
Yeah, thank you.
Man, that's really cool. Those are really cool charts to look at.
Yeah, I didn't put these out on Hexfire yet. I'm not sure that I will, but possibly, because this is really a projection into the future,
right,
of what it'll be. Not necessarily, what it, it's not a lock, right? Not a lock at all.
We're getting rich, guys.
That's right. That's right. Everybody's going to get rich. No, that was a joke. And so this was our chart that went along with that. That was our daily payouts chart and forecast, what we thought it would go up to over time. And this is in full amount, right? This is when we say daily payout, we're talking about how much hex, not hex per T-share.
Yeah, it's
that'd
looking
be
good.
Pretty nuts. That wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah,
80 million hex per T-share.
So like while the T-share, the circulating supply, outstanding T-shares is sort of like flat or maybe slightly down, the payout is just that much more because of compound interest, which is awesome.
Yeah, it could be. I just want to see if there's other ones here that we could look at, but there are some huge numbers, right? When you start looking at what the percentages might be, and that's why, and I may not have put it on this slide, but we did the APY forecast as well that we put into the conference, and that was one that threw me off, man. I know that I should know this already, right? Like, I looked at the information enough. It was just lost on me that if you made a Quattro Cinco stick today, that your APY would go up over time. It didn't even occur to me that was the natural path of momentum, that is what happens. And why is that? Well, because in this shorter time frame, we've had more people join the system, and we saw that, in the numbers, I see that the Quattro Cinco % has gone down. So in my head, it makes me think that people who are joining now are not getting as good a deal. But I think what I was able to correct in my thinking was, wait a minute, that isn't exactly right. People who had gotten in earlier had gotten higher APY rates based on the same amount of payouts, and their rate goes up over time, right? As long as there's more inflation and all the rest. Well, that's still true today. So somebody coming in today, even though they may start at a lower number than I started out a year and a half ago or a year ago, theirs also still continues to go up.
Yeah. So in comparison to the people that start staking or their future stakes, it's going to be considerably higher. And if the older people want to maintain their if they don't want to let the gap close, they're going to have to keep on restaking, which if they keep on restaking, then everyone wins, which is awesome.
Exactly. And I see Abit joined us as well. So he'd probably say this a little bit better than I said it, but this is the basic of what we were talking about.
Yeah, we got Abit and Johnny Kiosk both in the chat. Shout out to everybody who's here. Hit the like and subscribe button. I'm really glad that we still have about 2,000 people or more tuning in every week between the live stream and the replay. So welcome.
I wanted to thank Johnny for starting his TikTok again. He actually recently posted at Hex Fabio. So,
really?
Yeah, he's really good at TikTok, and I'm just so happy that he's back on.
Well, and you're the person who has to whip everybody into shape and tell them to be on TikTok, right? So why don't you do that speech now?
Oh, can I link the chat? We have almost 200 members in the this is taking on a life of its own. It's not even me carrying it anymore. This is there are some kids in there, like some young, I think they're youngsters, but I don't know for sure. They are like saying we got to use this trending music, we have to have this idea. It's unbelievable. Here, Maddie, I'll send it to you in the private chat, I guess, the post. We have 196. So, guys, get in the TikTok Telegram. You don't have to be a TikToker, because even if you're not a TikToker, if you comment and like and repost, then that drives up engagement. And we've been getting a lot of people have been saying they hadn't seen any Hex on their TikTok feeds. They're starting to see Hex on their TikTok feeds. So you guys have to join the Hex TikTok and try and post two under 1 minute videos a day. It could be yourself, or sometimes like today, I didn't film myself because I was busy. So I just went on Twitter. I saw a clip under 3 minutes of Richard Hart. I just uploaded that and I used the hashtags, and they've been getting a lot of viewership. We had one, his name is @HexWhale, Ethan @HexWhale on TikTok. He got 450,000 views on a TikTok of Richard Hart. And what he did was very, very clever, because I keep on saying Tate virality. And I actually wrote it in my website, furufinance.com. One of the articles in the blog is talking about how we need to adopt the Tate template. And he actually literally took that style of having, what they did was they take Andrew Tate, they put him at the top half of the screen, and then they put video game footage at the bottom half of the screen. Yeah. Because kids these days have to multitask, because Maddie would know better than me. He could explain probably way better than me. They have to like just be doing two things at once, or else they get bored. So it's sort of like a way of like grabbing their attention and keeping their attention. And so what he did was he put Richard Hart on the top and a video game GTA 5 footage on the bottom, and it got 450,000 views. And a lot of people are doing that, and we're getting we're punching way above what we would per our effort on TikTok and YouTube Short than any other social media platform. We're getting thousands of views on videos, even though a lot of these kids in the group have like kids and men, they have like 50, 60 followers, sometimes 100 followers, sometimes even 1,000. They're getting tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views. We have his name is Jack Explains Crypto. He put out 3 Richard Hart videos. One of them got 150,000 views. One of them got like 80,000. One of them got 20,000. Not getting those numbers on YouTube. This is really doing more to promote Richard Hart and Hex than anything else. And I think this is what's really going to drive up the demand for these mainstream networks to come and beg for Richard Hart to be on their shows, and in the way that they beg for Andrew Tate once he was promoted. I also think Richard has a way bigger advantage than Tate. I think he is more palatable to the mainstream, and I think he offers way more practical solutions for financial freedom. So I think this is a given. I think if we all just do our part, 2, 3, 4 TikToks a day, I think we're there. And I think it's great. It's great. I think I actually wrote this in, this is the blueprint. I wrote this blueprint. I cover this on my show. I don't know if you guys can't see it because of the green screen. Oh, check that. Basically, there's 2 things with regard to the community. You have community engagement, which is Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Very important. But Hex community engagement is off the charts. We have the best streamers in the game. We have Maddie, we got ChrispyMan, Ben, we got Crypto Coffee. Not even close. Like in terms of like streamers, Hex community's number 1. That will not change. Any one of us can stop streaming and it'll be fine. Twitter is off the charts. That's unbelievable with KDP, Havid Hex. obviously Richard Hart, Matty Allen, ChrispyMan, Ben Dubard. We have a lot of Twitter. I think the Twitter area is taken care of. Instagram, I don't know anything about Instagram. I plan on learning about Instagram, but unfortunately, I'm just illiterate about Instagram. But I think that's good too. But TikTok and YouTube Shorts, so that's engagement, which is very important, and it's taken care of. Outreach is not as good, and that's TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And regardless of so I'm saying outreach, streaming, and Twitter does very well in the bull run. But in the bear market, when interest in crypto engagement is lower, you got to really go out there and get out of the comfort zone and be on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And what we do this bear market determines how the price is going to be in the next bull. And I think the price of HEX is going to do well, even if we didn't do anything with regard to TikTok. But it will do that much better if we're on there and we're engaging. And how successful we're not at the point where we could just take our foot off the gas like Bitcoin is, where you have all those people that were in there in the beginning sort of step to the side and it just took on a life of its own. We still need to be actively engaged. Active engagement is incredible on Twitter and YouTube. Twitter and YouTube are a little bit of an echo chamber. The outreach is weak because it's very concentrated. You can't really use hashtags of other communities, of bigger communities that make for good potential onboards. Like you can't use the hashtag Compound, MakerDAO, DeFi, Axie Infinity, XRP, Ethereum, SHIB, Doge. You can't use those hashtags on Twitter. YouTube Shorts, you can do that. TikTok, you can do that. And when those people see the number one crypto in the space, which is HEX, and the number one community, they're going to hop over. And that has been happening. And this has been honestly a lot more successful, and it's been happening a lot faster than I thought. I did not think we'd be at 200. In the beginning, I had to be very hands-on in the chat, and I still am, but I see a lot. There's a lot of, back and forth. What should I do with regards to this? What are good hashtags? What's the trending music? Where could I get this B-roll? All sorts of things these people are talking about. It's unbelievable. So guys, get in the chat, try posting 1 to 2 a day using the hashtags HEX, Richard Hart, Pulse Chain, and also, financial freedom, hashtag XRP, hashtag Doge, hashtag SHIB, those kinds of things in terms of your outreach. It's going to make a huge difference. The more and even if you don't want to do it, which you should be, because you don't even have to have your name out there. You could just be posting other people's, content. Like Maddie gave permission for HEX conference as long as you link it, which was very kind. So you could be doing that if you want to be anonymous, you're afraid for your job or whatever it is. You should be posting. But even if you're not posting, you should be in the chat, because basically what these people are doing is, myself included, is when we post a TikTok, we link it on the Telegram. Everybody clicks the link, everybody likes, everybody reposts, everybody comments, and the engagement really throttles. So get in the Telegram chat, and we are making HEX go viral. But yeah, that's I think that really summarizes it.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, it sounds like you're having great success, like mentoring other people who want to make content, and I think that that's really incredible. That really grows the group of content creators, and I've always liked cross promoting and working together.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think a big reason why it took off is because I'm not just telling people to do it. I'm actually doing it. And when people see that I'm doing it and I'm not that good at it, and like my friends are texting me like, you look so awkward and silly, and it's like, if I could do it, like there's no reason why anyone else shouldn't be doing it. I'm getting a little better, but I'm still not that fluent. It's hard for me to speak straight, clear and concise when I have to squeeze it into under 60 seconds. But I'm doing it, and it's fun. I'm really having a good time. TikTok is really fun. Awesome. I'm sure Ben could attest to that. And everybody should be in there, and everybody should be making TikToks. But that's just
Ben. Can you attest to this?
I can attest to that.
Yes.
Hey guys, you got to get on TikTok right now.
Wait a minute. That sounds like a TikTok.
Have you heard of Hex crypto? It's going to the moon.
That's
It
a
is
really good
fun.
impression.
So right there.
So yeah, I'm getting comments that I don't really get on YouTube, I guess, like people who aren't into Hex, and posting clips of Richard that maybe he's not talking about crypto, but he's talking about like life stuff. I think that helps too, because then you use hashtags that aren't even crypto related. You get people commenting and they're like, "Oh, I agree completely," or they get like triggered by what he said. Like the one I posted where he was talking about the government got a lot of people really mad. But regardless, you reach an audience that you wouldn't normally reach. Like everything Furu said is completely true, and it took me a little bit to swallow the pill, but he kept feeding it to me, and then I actually tried it, and then I actually saw when you actually experience it, it's different. Like all these people commenting, getting lots of views. And yeah, I've seen people on Twitter, they're a little confused about the GTA footage, but it's like hypnotic in a way. And it's a popular game for kids too. So it's like you're just focused on the car driving, but you're like tricked into listening basically, in a way. So it like forces you to pay attention. Like I found myself, it's a TikTok I made with the GTA footage, and I'm stuck listening. I didn't even mean to listen to it. I just clicked on it. I'm like, oh, let me look at the views or the comments. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got like sucked into staring at the car driving in a tube, like in a circle. It's like, so it is powerful. And the TikTok group's good. You don't have to post. You don't have to show your face either. I think it helps new people too. When they post a TikTok, me and Furu hop in and we like it and we comment. And I think it makes people feel good, like they're actually being noticed for doing something, and it helps the algorithm. So there's a lot of people in there who are like brand new to posting content, and like they're just kind of hopping into it, and we're all supporting each other. I mean, I hate this stuff. I hated TikTok. It's a little more fun now that I'm used to it. And I posted a 20-minute video in the TikTok, and it's this woman who she's like, TikTok editing tips. It's 20 minutes. Maybe one morning, this is when I watched it, I was on my coffee. I was like, I'm going to watch all 20 minutes of this. And once you because the TikTok interface is kind of intimidating. There's all these buttons, and you click something wrong, and all of a sudden you're on the homepage, and there's like some loud music in your face, and you're like, oh my gosh. But once you kind of get used to it, just watch that video, and you can find just shows you how to do stuff. You actually realize like, oh, you can do so many things on the app. Like throw up a green screen behind you. You don't even need a green screen, but you can throw up a picture behind you, throw up a video behind you. You literally don't even have to do anything. You could just get the hex.com webpage, put yourself in front of it, and go like, and then like TikTok has all the music. There's no like copyright on TikTok, which is weird. I don't know how they did that or how that's possible, but basically you could just choose any song. You could choose any fun song and just have you in front of the hex.com website. Trust me, the more you go on this app and kind of browse around, random crap like that will appear on your timeline sometimes, and it has hundreds of thousands of views. And I'm like, why is this showing up, and why does it have so many views? It's just like, I don't know. It's like this whole new beast. But everything Furu said is true, and like, yeah, it's a little bit of a learning curve. Yeah, I can attest for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to say also, by the way, is that when I look at my YouTube comments, all the comments are like, hey, we love what you're doing. Amazing work on Hex. Like, you're awesome. And it's like, it's great. And then I go on TikTok and it's a lot of negative comments and it's a lot of bad things about Richard Hart. And that's a very good thing, because that means that people that otherwise wouldn't be seeing it are seeing it. It means we're getting on the feeds of people that aren't into Hex. So I take that. I think that's a very positive thing, and it's something to think about. But I wanted to, Maddie, are you able to pin the whole, as the neuroscience explanation behind half the screen being a video game?
It's like there's, you're embedding a message inside of another message, and it's kind of telling people that you're doing the latest thing, and it's telling the algorithm that you're doing the latest thing that everybody else is doing, that's mesmerizing everybody and grabbing people's attention. And so, it is kind of pushing the content creators to stay up with what the latest song is, what the latest dance is, what the latest presentation style is. And so doing a split screen with video game playing, is it different scenes of the video game, or how do people construct
It's just
that?
a car driving. You can check
Is
it
it
out.
the same car? Is it like a meme where it's like repetitive?
It's like the point of view whenever you play a racing game, Mario Kart, whatever. It's like behind the car and the car is driving.
Well, it's like GTA 5 mini games. So GTA 5, if you know Grand Theft Auto is, it's traditionally a game where you run around and you can like beat people up in the street or you can go do missions, but they have like mini games where you can just drive on wacky tracks. And I honestly think some of these clips, because once I started looking them up to clip them for videos, I got suggested this other stuff that's like cars driving into a volcano, and it's like animated cars driving into volcano. And I was watching one and I was like, whoa, what is this? And my girlfriend comes over and she's like, what in the world? She was like, and she remarked to me that her nephew, who's like 6, those are the videos he watches. It's almost these videos that are meant to like distract children in a way, because because it's not GTA footage of violence. It's just driving on a track and like going through the air off a ramp and like woo. But I did make a tutorial on my YouTube of how to do that, like how to add the GTA footage. There's probably multiple ways to do it. I literally did it one morning and then made a tutorial that afternoon, and I just used Canva. So if anyone has Canva, and then I used video.ai to add the captions. And then I just screen record whatever clips I want to use. And you can do it. And I use hexsearch.io. But it's really not super hard. It didn't take me that long, but it is a bit of a learning curve. But yeah.
So just for clarification, GTA is a video game?
Yeah, it's called Grand Theft Auto. And it's literally a game where they create a map of like a big city. And then
yeah. I played it. I was just joking with you, man. I'm close to a boomer, man.
I was like, man, I can't believe you haven't heard of Grand Theft Auto.
I don't know. I'm thinking about my speed would be Pong. I put it up here, but I wasn't sure if I could share it. You know what Pong was?
Yeah.
I actually had that game, man. It was rocking.
Cool. I can imagine. I mean, like it's simple, but it's fun. And if that's like the first thing you have, it probably is like awesome.
Oh yeah, we used to have these things called flashlights. We would play with those. So.
Well, you should obviously make TikToks with those styles of.
I know. That's what I was thinking about, man. If I can get a royalty-free Pong background, I just play that on loop. Who doesn't like to see a ball go back and forth 99 times? And
no, there's no copyright also, because
yeah, that's what you used. I heard you say that. Yeah.
And it's gotten so big, TikTok, that YouTube Shorts is taking away copyrights for their. YouTube is taking away copyrights for their shorts, because if people can't post the trendy music and stuff for their shorts, then no one's going to use it. And TikTok really is running away. It is the trend, and it is really running away with all the clout. It is the cool place. It is where the cool kids are. And I think if we want to get the cool kids, we got to go to TikTok, and that makes Hex trendy, and that makes
Where's the Hex dance? I want to see the Hex dance. Come on. Yeah, because if you actually make a really good one, you get the right people doing it, you'll get 5 million views, 200 million views.
It's crazy. You could get.
I can't tell you how many of those stupid things I watch.
We need Kareem for that.
I don't know that I want Kareem to do the dance.
He's our resident. Well, have you seen him dance?
Well, yeah. Yes. I guess it's more a reflection of my wants and needs. Well, but yes, I know he's a very good dancer.
You and him can have a dance off and see who makes the best.
You and him?
There's got to be some controversy, right?
Yeah, I guess. Can we add somebody else into that though?
Who do you nominate?
I don't know. Nerd Girl. That's it. You, Nerd Girl, and Maddie Allen. That would be a dance. I mean, you nude girl on Kareem.
That's
That'd be a dance off.
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I could see that for her. Why not, right? I mean, you know that. I know that's up and coming. You know, it's interesting though. It's winning. It was pretty beat for a while, right? Because it was the Chinese platform. Watch out. And
That's so true.
no, it was real, man. Like it was fun for a little bit. Everybody had to run around shutting them off, get rid of their apps and removing them because you couldn't have it on your phone or computer. But now it's come back around. Market tends to do that, particularly capitalism, right? Because just like you're describing the royalty stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people still pissed off about other people using their stuff, but it's kind of like I don't know what the right legal term is, but whatever the standard usage is in public is changing, right? Because you're right. If I was an artist, and I'm not, but if I was, and nobody could use my stuff, then that would really suck because everybody else is getting, lots of, getting lots of exposure, and I'm not getting exposure. So I want to give you permission to do it. And so if artists start feeling like that, and artists are already screwed over by the whole change anyways, but in some ways, right, being able to monetize what they do. I mean, they don't need to be put up against it any harder.
Well, for our next transition, I mean, one of the number one tools that people are using to create clips is hexsearch.io. And I'm proud to brag that the developer who made hexsearch.io is working on Time Pays Me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so for our next topic, I guess, one of the reasons that I started watching these two that we have as our guests tonight is because they started talking about the project that I'm creating, which so the latest discussion that I would need your guys' feedback on is this idea of having a dual front end for Time Pays Me and SmartVault.me. And so there can be two different pitches. Time Pays Me has a pitch that focuses on people who understand or want to understand delayed gratification. And then SmartVault.me would appeal to a different probably group of people who does not want delayed gratification, but wants to be able to undo a hack in MetaMask using self-custody. And so to have two separate front ends, basically that go to the same code and do the same thing, but it's framed quite differently. And so because this is a relatively new idea that I've been wrapping my head around now that the blockchain code is written, and I'm moving into the audit phase.
One testnet v3.
Well, so I have a private testnet that kicks ass, and I'm really excited about. And so I'm told the next step is to extend that to these different audit firms and to basically to go with the audit, and then people can play around with it themselves when it's released or shortly before it's released.
Cool.
But what do you guys think about this? Which name or which narrative do you like better?
They're both pretty good names. Smart Vault. I guess Time Pays. I like getting paid, but I also like security. But I think the security part is very, very paradigmatic shifting, and there is a very big need for that in crypto because it is a little bit of a migraine that, like, if anyone sees those 12 words or those 24 words, your money's gone. They don't even have to take it. Like, they could just take a picture, or if you forget it or you lose it, I mean, that's it. So I think that is very big. Or if you get hacked, obviously, that's a given. So I think that's very big. And I think if there would be some way to integrate that into HEX as well, I think I would use it. I would use it for ERC20s, and I would use it for Pulse Chain PulseX. But if I know you're implementing Deci into that, I think, and I would definitely love that. It's especially important, I guess, in Hex where you're locked in that wallet for 15 years. You can't change it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. I think it's a
Ben?
great idea to kind of have the two narratives for people. I mentioned to you that before. I think that smartvault.me was kind of what I've accidentally called it that a few times now. I don't know why. Because I think they both sound good. But yeah, I think it's smart to have both because different people will respond to like the different narratives. So yeah, I think that's cool. I'm excited for it to be on like a public test net, to kind of see how it works and all that stuff. So
Yeah. I did a little bit of a demo at the Hex conference, but of course it was only partially working when you do a live demo because the demo gods, they like to scorn us.
Of course.
I'm curious what you guys think about me dropping the incentive part. That's
I want to get paid.
Okay. Well, then you should, I guess, appreciate your security and appreciate your time locking.
So you took out the early
Hex,
payday?
appreciate Hex. Yes.
I think that the security appeals more to people that are more advanced, and I think that the getting paid appeals to people that are more beginners. That's what I think. But I like them both.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think
so taking out the early payday like broke my heart, believe me.
Yeah, I think it takes out some complexity too, because it was a bit of a mouthful to explain, but also, I mean, I don't know if that's a huge issue because Hex is pretty complex and that can definitely be a mouthful to explain once you really get into it. But I thought the idea was great just from the beginning, when even without an incentive, just because I understand the saving that's affected me is like saving myself from myself in a way. But that takes, I think, maybe experience or just general self-awareness of like, I don't know, how you behave. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize, I think I'd heard that and I'd forgot that you took out the early payday. So there's no incentive at all. Not even what about the 1% fee that you had said at the very beginning that if you wait 5 minutes, you don't pay it, something like that. Are you still doing that, or you took that out as well?
We didn't want, in the end, we didn't want it to differentially pay us based on whether people were acting more impulsively or not.
Yeah.
And like, so, I mean, there's so much complexity and so much game theory to all these decisions because it really, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if we did 0.11% instead of a tenth of 1%, I mean, that could be a big difference in the end if billions of dollars of value is locked up in this, like I think will happen pretty quickly. And I mean, that's another exciting thing is that I think that this is designed like really, really well for whales who are going to be long-term thinking anyway and want to prove it to themselves and leave inheritances and all these different kinds of things that you can do with time locking, and having a more secure basis. But yeah, right now it's just so it's kind of cool how, so if you time lock for a year, you pay a 0.1% fee. So that's 10% of 1%, right? And so that, or another way to say it is it's 1 out of every 1,000 units. So if you're thinking in dollars, then it's 1 out of every $1,000 is a tenth of 1%. Or if you're thinking in Hex terms or in Ethereum terms, then it's 1 out of every 1,000 Ethereum. Well, it kind of builds in a little longer is cheaper, because if you plan on like basically time locking, which not everybody will. But if you read time lock in Time Pays Me, what'll happen is you'll pay the 0.1% fee again. And so somebody who time locks a year for 10 years in a row, all the same coins, they're paying a 10 times higher fee than somebody who's time locking for 10 years. And so it gives you a little taste of the, longer pays better situation in HEX without copying it.
So why did you take out the early payday? Were you worried it was bordering trying to compete with HEX in a way, or what was the reasoning behind that?
That's a good enough reason right there. There's probably other reasons why people wouldn't do that. And it's man, it's just like so fun to me to like think about all the angles. Like there's legal angles, there's community angles, there's game theory angles, there's so many different things that can go into the decision of a game theory. And I think people who, you could take Hedron, for example. Like Alex admitted to getting the game theory kind of wrong when it comes to people getting a 10x multiplier in the beginning. And maybe it's part of some like master plan in so many years or something. But I think if the founder themselves pretty much says, "Oops, I shouldn't have done it that way,"
Yeah, but
it shows you they're learning.
At the same time, if he wouldn't have done that, then maybe it wouldn't have caught on as much, because nobody would have cared. Perhaps like that really did create this sense of urgency for people to claim and get involved. So I think maybe you could look at the positive way with regard to the Hedron 10x bonus.
Yeah, but and I like that you're questioning and thinking critically about that. And somebody could say like Hedron has been in a decorrelated run overall, even though it's gone up 10x and down 10x a couple times now or something. But at the end of the day, it's just interesting, like, if you don't sit on the game theory for a year or two, like Richard did, then you hear founders coming out saying, "Oh, I didn't mean for that to happen," or "Oh, I wouldn't create it." And I don't want to put words in Alex's mouth, but he said something to the effect of he would not have done the 10x anymore if he had a do-over. So
yeah, and there's like a lot of these like coins out there that people just make them very quickly and they don't really do too well. I think I'm sorry. No, I just wanted to say that I think a lot of people kind of make these coins and give them away for free, and that's why a big reason why they don't do so well. But at the same time, if they wouldn't give them away for free, they wouldn't have gotten this massive amount of people involved and this ripple effect throughout the HEX community. So it's kind of like a lose-lose, because if they don't give it away for free, then nobody cares, and if they give it away for free, the price performance is kind of inferior. That's just some food for thought.
So I have a question. So I think Richard did the sacrifice phase this way with PulseChain and PulseX because he said he regretted that with the HEX launch, people who were early were kind of punished because even though he told people not to go in on day one, it was like early adopters were kind of punished in a way. And so with that in mind, do you think the Pulse and PulseX price will go below the SAC rate? Because that would kind of, I have said I think it could happen and that it might happen, but based off what he said there, where he said, "Oh, I've done the sacrifice this way, so we're rewarding early adopters instead of punishing." I guess I feel it would feel a little bit like a punishment if we went under SAC rate, because it's like, oh, I got in on the sacrifice. I was paying attention. I was watching Richard and I was trusting him. But now people getting in later now have this better opportunity. It's there for me too. But what are your thoughts on that?
The variables I see are like the SAC rate was new mechanics that were different than Hex. Hex itself had adjustments made after it had been simulated and after it had been discussed. They decided to adjust like the year-long offering, not offering, the year-long EOS style thing. Well, it's not even that, actually. I mean, if we're speaking, very precisely, which we should be, it's the exact, like, technically correct terminology is, Hex had the adoption amplifier, which itself was not the same as EOS. And the mechanics of that were very, very specifically designed to not be a security and to not replicate what had been done before, but to be cutting edge. I think Pulse Chain, having been done a little bit differently, is interesting because of the complexity. I mean, the SAC rate changing over time was pretty fascinating. And then if we look compared to like Ethereum, didn't it start off at a certain
I think it was like 10x over the
ICO price? It went up, and it did a huge run up, and then it plummeted down to 15 cents.
And it still wasn't below the ICO, I believe, when it did dip. It didn't go below.
Oh, really?
I don't think. I think the ICO is like 3 cents and it launched at 30 cents and then it dipped to somewhere, but it wasn't below the ICO. But then we had, I mean, this question's kind of impossible to answer. It just seems like maybe it wouldn't. I have conflicting thoughts in my head where I think it could, but then I think it wouldn't because it would go against kind of what Richard said of rewarding
Let me throw
early
this.
adopters. Yeah,
Let me throw this at you, Ben.
Okay.
Yes, from a game theory perspective, Richard said a few things about doing it differently, right? This time around, and he did, right? Things went different. It was different than the AA, et cetera, et cetera. But none of that has anything to do with price, value, and I think that when it comes down to when these things launch, it'll be what it always is: how many people sell, how many people hold. If you see a ton dumped on the market, yeah, it's going to go lower. Now, I guess some people are going to have some sort of weird, I don't mean to call you weird, but some people may be angry at Richard because the price went down, but it's kind of like seems silly to me to feel that way. And just like other people might get a little angry, the price goes up because then they decided not to go in and not get anything. And so anyways, so it's not really criticism of you, so I don't want you to take it that way, but I'm just thinking about what you're saying. I mean, there's no guarantees this will be worth anything. I don't like the idea of that, by the way, but I'm sure it'll be worth more than zero once it's launched, right? So I don't like the idea that it might be 10 zeros and a 1, right? That's not really exciting to me, but I acknowledge, right, that's one of the possibilities. But but that's like being like totally one way with it, and then the other way is, well, layer ones have done blah 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 XXX, so therefore why shouldn't this do XXXX?
Right.
And I like that a lot too. But anyways, I think all those are unrelated to what actually can take place. And in terms of like guarantees, I don't think anybody guaranteed there was going to be a price of any type. Right. Now, I will tell you this, right? Just for people that I know, I've asked the question a bunch of times to them, and there's probably 12 people or 100 of them in this chat right now. They'll tell you what the real break-even price is. What is the average price? 3017, and I'll tell you what, if people think about that enough, and then that's what becomes reality, maybe.
I'm going to go out and say that Pulse Chain is not going below the SAC phase, because especially if the market already bottomed. Pulse X might, though.
Why?
That's the call. Because a lot more people got in on the Pulse X sacrifice This is like the metric no one talks about that I brought up. I don't know if nobody did, but I don't know why everyone says PulseX is going to pump more. But when you have 4 times as many people getting in, and you have to also keep in mind that the people that got in on the Pulse Chain sacrifice are a lot wealthier because they're Hex OGs, and wealthy people are less likely to panic sell or less likely to dump due to bad market conditions. I think at least in the short term. No, it's true because the needs are satisfied. The needs are satisfied. That's what I like saying. So I hope I'm wrong because I missed Pulse Chain and I got PulseX.
The people who bought PulseX are not down as hard. Are they?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Well, no, they are. They're down harder. So that's an interesting comparison. It's like, what was the price of HEX, the average price of HEX during the SAC period? Because you just brought up the point of measuring people's wealth in HEX terms, who may have differentially sacrificed. Speaking from personal experience, it wasn't widely speculated at all that there would be a second sacrifice. So a lot of people went hard on Pulse who were more hardcore believers. And then basically they had to stretch to be able to do similar amounts or any amount at all on PulseX. So there is probably a difference between the two.
Yeah, well, there's so many narratives. So if we just put aside that people will deliberately mislead you for a moment, you just know that happens, right? So you have that going on. So you can take that and put it aside. So further to your point, right? My thinking as I went into all this and looked at it is, I probably would expect a 3 to 5, X change or comparison between PulseX. So it might cost me 3 to 5 PulseX per pulse initially in ratio trading. That would be my guess, but it's purely a guess. It's a guess, right? Because until somebody snaps the line and the first people start going nuts, we won't see how it really plays out, right? But I theorize that, right? Just like a lot of people. So you have these different viewpoints, right? A lot of people say, I'm going to buy lots of HEX because I'm going to get the double. And then if you think they're not really committed to HEX, you think, well, the only reason they're doing that is to dump it for Pulse. So if you have Pulse, the ratio is going to be that HEX will be sold down, right? And so I get a lot more HEX with my Pulse, right? Same scenario with the PulseX to Pulse. And maybe, who knows, maybe PulseX to HEX, who the hell knows, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's also going to be fun to participate in a little bit.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of the ratio. I'm just DCAing.
Well, I think there are some people, me included, who would be very interested in the right ratio swap at zero value.
So there's no way of knowing the right ratio swap. And the reason for that is because the only way to know if you got a good ratio is if you know what the price is going to be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, which nobody does. So even like people are saying, I'd only do it if it's 1 for 1. But if they're not at price parity, in the future, on average in the future, whatever, it's not a good ratio. There's just no way of knowing what a good ratio is because you just can't predict future price performance. So I think a lot of people are going to get really hurt trying to time this. I think if you think that leverage trading is dangerous, there is some sort of basis of leverage trading, which obviously I don't condone. I don't like trading at all, but I'm saying there is fear and greed. There is like oversold, overbought kind of things that you could maybe, if you're really, really good, you could make some sort of profit. Although most don't. Most underperform the S&P 500. Most people lose all their money. But there is some sort of basis for predicting future price performance to some sort of extent. There's none of that with the Pulse Chain launch. You're entering a completely unknown environment. Something that has never happened before in crypto. And I think the only people that are really going to come out on top are the people that could really move the price, or people who are really lucky. But that's really what I think. I don't know.
I wonder which one will get time locked more, Pulse Chain or Pulse X.
Pulse
They're
X,
both- Yeah.
because there's
You
more.
think?
There's more, so I think more.
There's
In
more
that-
what?
There's
Uh,
more
More
Pulse X.
people.
I don't
No,
know.
Yeah, there's more people. Yeah.
There's the
I don't know.
same.
Did you
there's
did
the
you
same
confirm?
amount.
Did you confirm with your design that you can stake or not validate, but delegate using your product? Yeah, I knew you were talking about that. Whether you'd be able to lock it and do the delegation.
I think delegation isn't a thing anymore, right?
Well, I don't know. Is there staking? Don't know. There's a lot that we don't know. But so let's talk PulseX. So in PulseX, we still believe you can stake your PulseX, right?
I don't. I use different terms based on whether there's impermanent loss or not. So, like, if you're providing liquidity, that's different than anything
Single-sided
else.
staking.
No, there's single size thing, right? You have you get that inflated token that
The ink.
ink.
I guess I'm not an expert, so I don't know. But what I was thinking though, Maddie, whether what the details end up being or not, I don't know. But whatever they are, well, it may affect what you're doing, right?
Very true.
That's
Very
all,
true.
right? Because
It
because if
would.
I couldn't, so if I had a choice between something I thought was valuable in that I was going to get some sort of single-sided staking, or if there was going to be some sort of validation with Pulse, some whatever they're calling it, right? Staking, validation, delegation, and I can get a percentage that way, then I might want to do that, right? For yield. And so that potentially, right, would be an issue for me.
Yeah, I wonder what I would do. Guess it depends how good the yield is, but I would still want to lock something. I would have to lock, I don't know, at least some of my coins.
I think it'd make me feel good. It's like having a safe and saying, like, let me put 5% in the safe for 15 years. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like,
and then
I know that's safe, and I have, I
Yeah.
got my stack, but I know that is safe for a long time. So
no matter what no matter what the price does, you're not going to sell on a 5x when you could get way more, in the example of Bitcoin.
It's true. You would have sold your Bitcoin early, guys. You wouldn't have held the 1 million.
That's correct. So I'm still working on unlocking the first Ethereum that I ever bought. I set it up with there was some Ethereum Foundation wallet or something that existed back then, and I was trying to buy into the DAO that ended up getting hacked. I read an Economist article about the DAO, and I was like, I'm in. So I put $20 in. And I bought 1.04 Ethereum or something like that for $20. It was actually only $12, but Coinbase charged me like an $8 fee. And so so I got wrecked by fee. Like, that could have almost been a whole nother Ethereum.
and
If and so it's been time locked because, well, it's been time locked in a sense because I wrote the password down, or wrote the pass key down somewhere, and didn't really pay attention to it because it's like $20. So who cares? Like, I played around with it and I lost the game. Like, I didn't know how to put money into a DAO at that point. Like, I was completely new. I was lucky I even got the wallet set up. So I still have this Ethereum and I still have the private key for it, but I need to basically unlock it with a passcode or whatever. And so I may have actually found the passcode in moving all my stuff.
Oh, nice.
In the past 4 days. And so I'm looking forward to trying it out and seeing if I magically unlock this Ethereum from early 2016 or something. But I definitely would have sold that ETH on a 10x at least. And now it's still, even though we're in a dip in Ethereum, it's still, where it went up from $20 to 1,500. So, a time pays me, better get released soon so I can lock that Ethereum up, because that's my OG Ethereum that I'll be tempted to trade for HEX if I don't time lock it.
Trade it. Oh, it's an interesting conversation for sure. I'm reflecting on your comment about holding from the beginning. What does any of this stuff really mean? What does it really mean to hold? Does it mean never sell? Then even if you do have enough to like T-Bird's saying in chat, to live the good life, what does that mean? Does that mean never sell? I don't know.
Yeah, it does. That's why Bitcoin is always up and to the right, because the people that got in the beginning they're I keep saying this, but needs are scarce and money is plentiful. So they really don't need to sell anymore. Like what else is there to buy? Like that's again why stocks are always up and to the right too. What else is there to buy? Like you have everything. So you kind of just hold on and then you die.
Somebody in the chat, which we got trolled recently by somebody, not this person, but there are people out there who watch the show who have had an experience like this where they owned, this person says they owned 22,000 Ethereum once upon a time. And mind you, at a quarter of a dollar per Ethereum, if it launched around there, 15 cents, 30 cents, something like that, we're talking about like $5,000 worth of Ethereum. And there were people who put $5,000 into Ethereum, and today that would be worth 33 million.
Oh my God.
But the point, and that's the point of Time Pays Me or of HEX or whatever, whatever it is you're using to time like your crypto, Bitcoin has it built in too with the time lock verifier, time check verifier or something. Whatever it is, the opportunity in crypto is to hold, and you're going to be your own worst enemy if it does well in some cases.
Yeah, it's true. That's what people like really underrate. Like everyone says, if only I was in early on this or that, but you wouldn't have been. You would have, if you were in early, you'd be out early. That's inevitable, unless you forgot about it. Whoa.
Yeah, or you lost the password and then found it again. Or whatever, and that's how terrible is that in crypto? The less engaged you are, like the less, it's I think Richard and other people always talk about, why is it that people in Bitcoin who forgot about it and came back so many years later, they're the ones who have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's the great thing. That's really the thing that HEX really takes care of. And that's why HEX is number one.
Time check lock verify. Well, we've been on for almost 2 hours, and I said I'd have to keep this one a little bit shorter because I got people who have been helping me move with my broken arms, of course.
So, how are you feeling, man?
I'm hanging in there, but still hurts a lot. So
you picking things up? You picking up
no.
things?
No.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just really thankful to be able to put my focus on streaming to take away from the, all the downside of that. So shout out to everybody watching, everybody participating. I appreciate y'all. And this community is super supportive and awesome. So with that being said, if you guys don't mind wrapping up, can you tell people where to find you?
Yeah, thank you so much, Maddie, for having me. You're really a pleasure. And
pleasure.
I
Yeah.
love the late night vibe, and I love your show. And I've
Thanks.
really been watching you for over a year, and to finally be on it, it's amazing. You could find me at
Awesome.
furufinance.com. You can follow me on TikTok at furufinance. I passed 500 today. 1,000 I could live stream. Also get Maddie to 1,000. Maddie is amazing at TikTok, or his sister is at least.
Thank you.
And then we could do a duo live stream on TikTok and obviously
All right.
YouTube and Twitter. But thank you so much, Maddie.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at the New Bard, TikTok at the New Bard, and then YouTube, the New Bard. I stream Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then also sporadically other nights. But that is my guaranteed 7 p.m. Eastern time Wednesday night, and then at 2 p.m. tomorrow, RH Max is on my channel, so that should be fun. We're going to be talking about kind of like Richard Hart, Alex Hermosi, Naval Ravikant kind of mindset kind of stuff and how it relates to crypto and that cool stuff. So yeah, check me out, but it's the same name pretty much everywhere. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Hexfire.io. Come on over.
So really go subscribe to these guys and check them out. These two right here stream every day, apparently. And that's really incredible.
Very
So
nice.
kudos to you and thank you all for creating content. You guys rock.
Yeah. Thank you. 12 p.m. Eastern time, guys.
Keep it up. Keep it up. I want to see some of those TikToks. I got to go look now.
I want you to make some of those TikToks.
I got it. Yeah.
There
Yep.
you go.
There we go. Let's make some.
So
There you go.
Holodar's gonna make our shake and fries and everything, and we'll be back every Tuesday and Thursday night live. Stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.